I'm on here. My video's not showing up, so not really sure why. But, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you very well.
Okay, I have no idea. My video's turned on, so I have no idea why it's not working.
No problem. We understand. We're glad you're with us, and we can hear you just fine. And as a reminder, those of you that are not Coach Rhett Lashlee, if you could put yourself on mute, it would be appreciated. All right, Coach, when you're ready.
Okay. Well, we're obviously just incredibly excited to get a chance to compete in the ACC championship game. Pretty cool being in our first year in the league, but just really proud of our team to go 8-0 in a conference is to me is tough and is just top to bottom filled with a lot of parity is the ACC. We just feel really fortunate to be one of the two teams getting to compete for our championship. So I know our guys are really looking forward to preparing for a great Clemson team this week and getting to Charlotte and competing.
Thanks, Coach. Again, as a reminder, we will take as many questions as possible. Please go ahead and use the chat function if you've got a question, or you can text me directly on my cell. Wait for me to call on you, and please give us your name and affiliation. We'll hold for just a second while any questions are populated. We'll start our first question with Andrea Adelson. Andrea?
Hey, Rhett, it's Andrea Adelson with ESPN. I know we talked a little bit about this last week, but I'm just wondering now that you guys have gone 8-0 in league play and you're sitting at 11-1, whether you feel like you're going to have to do some lobbying to make sure that no matter what happens on Saturday, y'all are part of the college football playoff.
Great question. I don't think I'm going to do any lobbying really because I don't know if that would matter. But, I do hope that the committee continues to value our resume and our total body of work. I mean, I think the reality of it is there's two Power 4 teams that have gone undefeated in their conference. It's us and Oregon. And to me, that should mean a lot. We won the ACC regular season championship outright, going undefeated and the way we did it and how we did it. I think it's important, and we played 10 Power 4 games. I mean, we played a 10-win Big 12 team and an 8-4 Big 12 team. No one else did that, plus an 8-game conference schedule. So, I think that based on what we've heard and what we've been told, I would like to feel good about it. I mean, 11-1, 8-0 in the ACC, one of the top 3 leagues in America. Hopefully it's a reward, and we're playing for a first-round bye. But, really all we can do is control our play. That's what we've been trying to do the last 5 or 6 weeks, and so we're going to do everything we can to win a championship and hope that's enough. But I do believe our kids have earned the right to be one of the 12 best teams in America, and I really hope the committee sees it that way as well.
Take our next question from David Hale.
Rhett, I think a lot of people will look back at the quarterback change after the BYU game and say that was sort of a turning point of your season. Do you feel like that was the case, or do you think it was more of a sort of a gradual thing to get the program to where it is right now?
Yeah, I think we probably had 2 pivotal moments in our season. I mean, I think the first was just deciding to settle on Kevin as our starter and give our team some consistency and stability and allow us offensively to start building an identity around Kevin and what he does well. And I think it really helped our offense be more balanced and make defenses have to defend the whole field. And so I think that's been big. And I think it just gave our guys some clarity so they could just go play. I think the second thing, was probably the 3-game stretch following that. We were able to beat TCU at home pretty handily, and then to win our first conference game against Florida State at home the way we did was important. But then I think when we went on the road at Louisville and played the way we did, to get a big road win, I think going through that 3-game stretch kind of gave our guys the confidence to believe that we had the kind of team we thought we had. And I think from that point on, our guys knew we kind of established a standard that we could play to, that if we played that well, we were going to be able to beat anybody we played. And credit them, they've been chasing that standard ever since.
Bailey Sheffield.
Hi, Coach. I just wanted to know what aspects of the opponent's game plan do you think will possibly be a challenge, if there is a challenge?
Hey Bailey, thanks for the question. Well, it's 3:00 here on Sunday, so I've started watching Clemson, but I haven't watched enough to be able to probably tell you the specific thing that'll be a challenge, other than their players, their talent level. I mean, they're a really good football team, top to bottom defensively. I mean, they're big up front on the D line. They can eat up gaps and stop the run. They can really rush the passer. They got a really good pressure package. West does a great job, and then they got some really athletic linebackers who can run and cover side to side, and they got really athletic and long physical DBs. So there's really not a weakness defensively, and I think their defense has really carried them in a lot of ways. And then you go to their offense, and Kade, someone I really have a lot of respect for. When I was the OC at Miami, he was the top quarterback in that class that I would have loved to have had. And being a Texas kid, had known of him, and obviously he went to Clemson, but really thought highly of his skill set then. I know they've got some really talented young receivers. They got a game-changing tight end and some really good linemen. Even, Tristan Lee's a guy we recruited hard at Miami. So, and then they got a big-time running back like Phil Maffa. So when you just kind of start talking about their team, they're very well balanced. They don't really have any weaknesses on either side of the ball, and I think that's why they are the consistent team they are.
Take our next question from David Teal.
Rhett, David Teal with the Daily Press in Virginia. You referenced the depth and parity of the league earlier. Is it more pronounced now than when you were on staff at Miami? And if so, in your mind, does that equate to a conference that merits multiple bids to the CFP?
Yeah, I think there's absolutely more depth and parity in our league than several years ago when I was at Miami. We felt a little top heavy back then, and now I think I may be wrong on the exact number, but of 17 teams, I believe 13 are bowl eligible, or close to that number. And so to go, for us to go 8-0, I think that's a big deal. But then to have, Clemson right there at 7-1 in the league, Miami at 6-2. I don't think there's any question that we've separated ourselves as one of the top 3 leagues in America. And so we start looking at the top 12 teams. It's kind of hard to maybe objectively argue that we don't deserve at least 2 teams in the playoff. I mean, if obviously I think we should be in regardless. And if we're able to win, then you look at a Miami team that is 10-2. They lost to a 9-3 team yesterday, and they lost to a team in Georgia Tech that all they did is just go on the road and go 8 overtimes with Georgia. So if and I don't know, I don't presume to know what the committee's going to do or think, but it feels, or at least seems like, schools like Ohio State and Tennessee that are 10-2 are in, then Miami should probably be looked at in the exact same vein as well at 10-2, and then there's a cluster of SEC teams at 9-3, and I think at some point strength of schedule and all that stuff matters, but your record's got to matter, and 10-2 is better than 9-3 when you're measuring pretty close resumes. So, and then if you look at the fact that if we're able to lose the game, I mean, Clemson automatically is in, and again, I think our body of work should put us in. So I think it'd be good for college football to have multiple teams from the ACC competing for a national championship in the playoff.
David Hood.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach. I can remember when you were at Auburn, kind of crossing paths with the Clemson coaches on the recruiting trail, recruiting Deshaun Watson. And I think you had a relationship maybe with Chad Morris. But have you kept up with any of the Clemson coaches? Do you and Coach Sweeney have a relationship? Have you kept up with any of those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I know Coach Sweeney just a little bit from being in the league, and I've always admired him from afar. We're not exactly close, not for any reason other than we just – I've only been a head coach 3 years, and he's been a head coach a long time. But, I did have a lot of good relationships with a lot of guys that's worked for him. I mean, Chad Morris and I have known each other for a long time, going back to when I was playing for Gus Malzahn in high school, and Chad was coming to watch us play in the playoffs to talk offense with Gus. And then Tony Elliott and Jeff Scott are 2 good friends of mine that were there forever. And there's some other guys too. So not as many guys maybe on the current staff, but a lot of guys that have gone through there. And, the way that Dabo's ran his program and the consistency at which Clemson has been able to win, to me, I think speaks volumes. And so I've been fortunate to know a lot of those guys and got a lot of respect for all of them.
We'll go next to Mark Henry.
How you doing, Coach Lashlee? Mark Henry with SMU Rivals. Your defense, I think, has carried you guys along the way this year. Talk about what you guys bring to the table defensively. I think you guys are very aggressive when it comes to getting after the quarterback and causing turnovers. I think that's the big reason that you guys are where you are at today. Besides, we know that Kevin and the offense going to put up points, but that defense, it travels. Talk about that a little bit.
No, Mark, I appreciate the question and you recognizing that. I mean, I think that's what's really shifted in our program in the last 2 years is the defensive side of the ball. I mean, we've been able to continue to be effective offensively, but defense travels, as you said. Defense gives you a chance to win championships. We saw that last year with us being able to win a championship. And I think what Scott Simons and our entire defensive staff has done to kind of change the culture here defensively is huge for us as the program we're trying to build, not only now this year, but for the future. And you're right. I mean, our guys have really bought into the physicality you got to play with, to the depth of we have on that side of the ball. And, it all starts with being physical and stopping the run and running to the football. And if you can do that, then that allows you to get in situations where you can try to rush the passer either with the defensive front and their skill set or with pressures, as you're saying. And so I don't think it's any different. You look at Clemson, what makes them a really good defense is, they can stop the run. They have guys that swarm to the football, and then allows it to get in 3rd and 7+ or obvious passing situations. And then that's when the advantage goes to the defense. And so, but I think what Scott and our defense has done, I mean, you just look at yesterday in our game, we started fast offensively against a really good defense in Cal. We were able to get up 21-0, but then we didn't score for 2 quarters almost. But defensively, we just kept controlling the game until we were able to get going again. And I just think that's a testament to Scott and our defensive players.
We'll go next to Jacob Richmond.
Hi, Coach. Thanks so much for giving us some of your time today. Going back to your championship game last year, I mean, that was Kevin's first start for you guys. What's kind of, do you feel like is the difference, a year later, some 11 starts passed for Kevin, and how the kind of preparation changes when you're preparing a guy for his first start versus a full-fledged starter that's led you to to the conference championship game?
Yeah, thanks, Jacob. Good question. I mean, I think just experience is a great teacher, and it also builds a lot of confidence. And I think it builds confidence in 2 areas. Obviously it builds confidence in Kevin because he has the Tulane experience from last year to build on, but now he has 9 starts this year to build on. So you start looking at now he's over 10, 11 starts and has been really successful. That just builds his confidence and confidence in the guys around him, right? And then I think also for me as a play caller, you look at last year going to that first game, you're still learning the guy and how he is in a game. And so I don't want to say you call plays to protect him, but you just call plays as you're learning along the way, to whereas now you feel like you know him, you feel like you can trust him fully and call it aggressive and call it for let him go make plays and let him go do what he does. So I just think the consistency of that experience is going to give him a lot of confidence, give me a lot of confidence like we have in him. And at the end of the day, he's a winner. I mean, that's just what he's done. He won state championships in Texas. He won the championship game last year. He got us to win this year. So he's been in these kind of moments.
Go next to Wes Pruitt.
Good afternoon, Coach. Wes Pruitt, 4-Star Sports Media. When you look at the success that you had last year in the American, and now it translates over to a brand new conference, you've talked a little bit about it from a player perspective, from a coaching perspective. How do you and your staff continue to keep this success going in a brand new conference with brand new competition?
Yeah, Wes. I mean, it's obviously it's a challenge. I mean, this team's different than last year's team. It had to be, right? Because we were definitely stepping up into a much tougher conference and a much bigger weight class, as I've referenced before. But yeah, consistency of performance is what's hard. It's what's hard to get in this game. And so I think the way our staff is consistent, we've built a really strong culture here, both for our staff that bleeds into our team. And so I think that is, that's all players really want. They just want consistency. Be who you're going to be who you say you're going to be, but be that way all the time, whether you win, lose, good, bad. And I think our staff does that. And I think that's allowed our team and our players specifically to believe in what we do and trust what we're doing. And I think our player leadership is what really deserves the most credit. I mean, we never won back-to-back 11-game seasons here at SMU till now. And a lot of these seniors, we got 30 seniors that walked on senior day yesterday. A lot of those guys were here last year as well. And so, at the end of the day, your best teams are led by the players, and that's the kind of team we have.
Let's take our next question from Josh Butler.
Yep.
Who is it?
The SMU coach.
Josh?
Get that. Hey, can you hear me?
Jeremy, we need you to put yourself on mute, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey, Coach. Just real quick, how are you and your staff keeping the team focused on the championship and the controllables rather than the playoff committee and the rankings?
Hey, Josh. Yeah, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. I mean, I think, when you get to the championship game, they're going to be focused on that. They know that we have a chance to play an incredible program like Clemson for 60 minutes on Saturday night. And, if we can come out victorious, we're going to be ACC champions. I mean, that's a huge deal, and that was the goal. That was the goal we were all along working towards, was to get to Charlotte and give ourselves a chance. And so, with regards to the CFP stuff, we've kind of been dealing with that the last month. The last 4 or 5 weeks, it's almost been playoffs for us, because on one hand, we had to keep winning to just try to get to Charlotte. And then even last week after we clinched Charlotte, I mean, the Cal game was a must-win if we wanted to stay in contention for an at-large bid into the tournament. So our guys, I can't be more proud of them, and I think our staff does deserve a lot of credit for how they've led them, but I couldn't be more proud of our guys in a world where it's really hard. I mean, it's hard for me to focus on it, right? So for them to go week in, week out with all that kind of pressure, knowing what's at stake, and to somehow stay present and focus on just what we have to do to win this week has been pretty special. And I think that's what I hope probably more than anything the committee sees is we're 11-1, 8-0. We've won 9 straight games. And all those games, whether they're on the road, at home, and there was a lot of pressure. And the guys just, every time, that consistency of performance has to speak for itself. And I couldn't be more proud of the guys for that. So I know it's maybe not the answer you wanted, but we're going to keep doing what we've been doing, and we're going to focus on Clemson, and we're not going to worry about anything else.
Go to Trevor Groves.
Hey, Coach, congratulations, and thanks for doing this. I know you would have been just as happy playing Miami in Charlotte, but is it somewhat fitting, going undefeated in your first year in the ACC to be facing Clemson, the team with more ACC championships than anyone? And are you expecting somewhat of a road game, being that the game is so close to Clemson and Charlotte?
Hey, Trevor. Yeah, I mean, I think, again, to your point, we would have been happy playing anybody, but we're happy to be here. But, man, I mean, I think what Coach Sweeney and Clemson have done, and the standard they've set in our league is what we want to build our program to be like. We want to be a team that year in, year out is viewed as a team that has a chance to compete to get to Charlotte. And that's what Clemson is every year. Everybody knows that if you want to win the championship, probably to some degree, you're going to have to go through them. And I mean, we came into this season knowing that we wanted to just prove we belonged. And I think our guys have done that. And this is just another opportunity to kind of see where we stand, see how we measure up on a championship level contest against the team that has set that standard. With regards to the crowd, I mean, I have no doubt, based on the crowds we've had here in Dallas this year, that our fans are going to travel extremely well. They're going to be fired up. But, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot closer to Clemson, South Carolina than it is Dallas, Texas, and that's fine. We've done fine on the road. Last year we had to go win at Tulane. That was definitely a road environment. I don't think this will be as one-sided as that one was, but it might be. And if so, that's fine. I mean, we're just excited to play against a great opponent and a great venue.
We'll go next to Steve Lansdale. Steve?
Coach, you've spoken today and also yesterday after your win over Cal about your familiarity with Coach Sweeney and the Clemson program and your respect for what he's done. When you start to think about that familiarity, he has gone against you when you were a coordinator at Miami. You've gone against him when he was a head coach at Clemson. Is there any advantage or difference simply because you've gone against him? when he's in charge of the whole program versus you as a coordinator?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think so. There may be some slight things here or there, and those always are fair questions. I just, when we went against him the first time, Brent Venables was the DC. He's not the DC anymore. Garrett Riley's calling plays now. It was Tony and Jeff then. So when you start talking about the people calling the plays are different, and hopefully I've grown and changed a little bit as well. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe some of it matters, maybe some of it doesn't. But I'm not going back and watching the 2020 Miami Clemson game thinking that's going to be a big deciding factor in Saturday.
Take our next question from Grayson Mann.
Good afternoon, Coach. This is Grayson Mann with TigerNet. I know you mentioned earlier you had your eyes on Kade Klubnik back in high school while you were at Miami. Just curious to see, based on your initial film watch, where do you think Klubnik's grown the most as a quarterback from then to now?
Yeah, I like Kade back then for what you see him doing right now, man. He can really throw the football. He can hurt you with his legs, but I just liked who he was. I liked the intangibles he had, as a leader, as a winner, what he did in high school and what he's now done there. I haven't sat and studied his career near to the level you have to see all the areas he's grown. But, I think second year in the system with Riley and like everything else, just like for Kevin, I think the more games you play, the better you get. The game slows down. You get more confident. When big moments come, you've been in them before, the more you played. And so I think that's what he does. I think he values the football. He gets the ball to his playmakers, and when he needs to pull it down like he did yesterday a couple of times, make some big runs. He shows great toughness. He did it against Pitt a few weeks ago as well. So I just think, again, he looks like he's very comfortable and in complete command of what they're trying to do. And so I think as a quarterback, when you get to the point that you're no longer worrying about yourself, like you're confident who you are in the system you're in, you're just going to go play. It allows you to help make others around you better. And I think he's gotten to that phase where his play makes the guys around him better.
We're going to go next to Leah from the Dallas Morning News. I believe you're on your phone. Go ahead. Leah? All right, let's go next to Andrea Adelson.
Rhett, one more question if I could. Can you just describe the job that your tight ends and receivers have done, considering that you lost RJ earlier in the year and Jake as well?
Yeah, I think it's been awesome. We've talked a lot about depth on the O&D line, but it definitely at the skill positions was key. And I look at tight end, what Matthew Hibner's done in terms of a passing threat for us, but what him and Stone Eby have done in terms of the run game as well. You don't lose a player like RJ and just replace him, but those guys have stepped in and made a lot of plays for us. And then you look at receiver, I think what Roderick Daniels has done, kind of been a renaissance man for us. He's played everywhere, but moving back to receiver when Jake went out after the Duke game, and just his production the last 3 or 4 weeks has been incredible. And to no surprise, he's just a do whatever it takes guy. And then I think our outside receivers have really stepped up. Keyshawn Smith lately, Moochie Dixon, Jordan Hudson. We lost Romello Brinson too after about the 3rd or 4th game, and that was a big hit. We're hoping to get Romello back soon. But we've kind of the last 8 weeks played with 3 outside receivers and been down our 2 leading receivers in the slot, like you said. And I just think those guys have just had a next man up mentality and gone out and really competed and made a lot of big plays for us.
We'll go next to Chris Heidel.
Hey, Coach. This is Chris Heidel from Herbert Radio in Baltimore. Congratulations on making it to Charlotte. Do you think Dallas is now a college town or still a pro town? Because I know the Cowboys are not doing so well.
Thanks, Chris. I think Dallas is a sports town. And we love the Cowboys, we love the Mavs, we love the Rangers, we love the Stars, and right now we love the Mustangs. And so I think that's what's awesome is the entire city has really rallied around our program. We have a great mayor, Eric Johnson, supports us at every turn. The city's embraced us. I think the crowds at Ford Stadium this year aren't just as good as they've been just because of SMU alumni showing up. The entire city's buzzing and talking about the Mustangs, and every time we win, the city lights up red and blue. And So I think we've proven that Dallas, Dallas is a special city. It deserves a big-time college football program, and it can, without question, support us and all our pro teams. And that's what's been happening. And so we're just excited to get to represent our city.
We'll take our last question back to Mark Henry.
Hey, Coach, Mark Henry here with SMU Rivals again. Special teams. I think, in my opinion, you have an all-ACC performer in Colin Rogers. He's been consistent this year. Talk about your trust, and you really go to him in tight situations. You guys have been on the road, and he made big kicks. He's made big kicks at home. How have special teams and the emphasis you guys put on that impacted the team this year?
Yeah, it's been huge. Our guys have really bought into starters got to be on teams in general. I do think Colin's been awesome. I think he's got 7 field goals of 50 yards or more. That's one away from the NCAA record, and he hadn't been able to attempt one that long in a while. But, he's been really, really steady for us. Made another big one yesterday when we needed it from 48. And I think Isaac Pearson's done a great job punting for us. And then you got guys like Roderick Daniels and Brashard Smith in the return game. There's 3 phases that are important. And, we talk about O&D a lot, and winning the run game, winning the turnover battle, winning the explosives. But from a special team standpoint, we got to protect our kicks, we got to cover our kicks, and we got to try to be explosive. And that consistency has definitely been better this year for us than last year. And I think that's helped us a lot.
Coach, we appreciate you joining us today. We look forward to seeing you in Charlotte, and we hope you have a great week.
Thanks, Amy. Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.